with us in the studio. It's good to see you there,
Indeed.
James. And I saw you sniggering away, as I mentioned,
That's right.
from Bunga Bunga to bedpans there.
For more on the bedpans.
For more on the bedpans. Of course, having a bit of fun with that one, aren't we? Silvio Berlusconi, I mean, he's been the most powerful man in Italy for many, many years, and now
That's
he
right.
will literally
Now-
be changing bedpans.
That's right.
In an
Now,
old people's home.
On Twitter, as per usual, people are being full of bad taste about all of this stuff.
Excellent.
And there are quite a few images I cannot show you, Laura. You'll just have to do that yourselves at home. But there's pictures of them. Look, I'll tell you, there's pictures of them groping people in old
Or
people's
do you
homes.
think the old ladies are getting a bit worried?
That's right. Well, that's what they're insinuating, and that they'll have to hide the Viagra and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, let's take a look at some
he's
of the images.
77 himself, so he could feasibly be checking into an old people's home himself, isn't he?
I think he's a few years away from that yet. Now, he's very famous as well for singing. He used to have a career on a cruise ship singing. So
Yes, he was a crooner in his day.
That's
wasn't he?
right. So a lot of people on Twitter being ironic about how they'll have to be putting cotton wool in their ears if there isn't cotton wool in their ears already in the old people's homes, with accordions and microphones coming out. Now, this was an image in Corriere della Sera a little bit earlier this week when they were anticipating this result that he would get community service, where here he is looking after an old person, i.e. himself, and other people getting imaginative about what community service might involve. I don't think it'll be
better than
anything
prison,
like
though,
that.
isn't it?
That's right. And there he is serving some food to the Italian president, Mr. Napolitano. I don't think that's going to be what he's up to either. Now, some of the more serious comments being made. One, I saw a comment about the fact that this may restrict his movements in next month's European elections, campaigning for European elections. But honestly, 4 hours a week, I think he'll manage to get around, because it's only 4 hours a week, right? And the other comment being made, the maximum
He's
sentence.
not allowed out of the Lombardy region, is he?
Oh, right, okay, so I suppose he is a little bit restricted then. Another comment was that with a maximum sentence of 1 year for tax evasion, he did indeed get off quite lightly.
He can always, kind of rattle about in that mansion of his.
That's right.
Just outside Milan, which isn't too bad, is it?
It was a pretty lenient sentence. Let's
all
call
right.
a spade a spade.
I'm sure he'll be charming the pants off them anyway.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's perhaps not the best metaphor, but you know what I mean. All right.
Slip of the tongue, Laura.
Slip of the tongue there. Let's move on. Now, this is an argument in favour of the European Union from a French member of the European
That's
Parliament, but it's a bit wacky, isn't it?
Well,
as
usually
arguments
you'd hear
go?
about, peace in our time,
success
breaking
of
down
the euro.
borders, the success of the euro. What about pornography, Laura? That was the argument put forward by Joseph Daul, who is a French MEP, the head of the European People's Party, which is the Conservative Party in the European Parliament. Now, he, trying to get down with the young people, because apparently young people like porn, according to his reasoning. And he said, I tell them at their age when I was 18, when I wanted to go to Kehl. Now, Kehl is a town in Germany just across the Rhine River from Strasbourg.
Yes.
When I wanted to go there to see porn films that were banned in France, you had to wait 2.5 hours to get through customs. You'd get there to the cinema and the film would already be finished. And sometimes...
Have you not heard of the internet, this chap?
Well, this is it. I was kind of thinking, look, first of all, it's not the best argument for Europe.
You have to
And second
travel
of all,
to some obscure German town to see a bit of a
so listen,
blue film.
I think Joseph Daul needs to
All right.
get with the programme,
At
get
least-
with the
yeah.
times,
Well,
and
you
realise
picked
that
that
this
one
is
up.
not the best argument for Europe at all, in fact. Meanwhile, let's
Yes.
take a look at what's happening in... This is just to prove that European morals are going through the floor. This is the latest stamp to be released in Finland, Laura.
lovely.
It's Tom of Finland. It's sort of homoerotic stuff. And the
Is it really, James? Thanks for pointing that out.
You might have figured that out.
missed that.
Now, Le Monde is pointing out that it's a lot more interesting in some respects than the regional cow stamp collection that you can get in France. Or I think they have a panda.
Stamps to suit everybody's taste. Let's
That's
move on
right.
quickly. The smiley, we get them everywhere nowadays.
Yes.
They're extremely annoying on
Yes.
emails and text messages, etc. First one has been tracked down. First one was back in 1648.
Now, that is according to the people at Atlantic, theatlantic.com. First emoticon, 1648, a poem by Robert Herrick. Now, will I read you a line from that
Go on,
poem?
just a line.
You see what you just a line. Perhaps it might get a bit tedious otherwise. To fortune. Tumble me down, and I will sit upon my ruins, smiling yet. Tear me to tatters, yet I'll be patient in my necessity. Now, as you can see there, its spelling was completely different back in the day. So was punctuation. So there are two schools of thought here. First of all, it was just punctuation being a little bit different back in the 17th century, and another school of thought saying that it was an orthographic joke, because he's talking about smiling, and he added
It's one of those
colon and
one of those smileys without the nose.
without the
I
nose.
noticed.
And the
do you
first,
do them with the nose or without the nose?
Well, I tend to do them without because I'm all for shortcuts. But do you know that the first smiley with a nose was recorded in 1982? First smiley with a nose goes back to 1982.
Sometimes I do them with the tongue out and a wink and no nose.
Oh, that's not
It
shortcuts
depends
at
how I'm
all.
feeling,
That's
I'm
really
afraid. Don't know what I'm trying
going
to say.
all out with smileys.
Brilliant. All right, thank you, James.
Thanks, Laura.
James Creedon there with Media Watch. Now let's move on. It's time for our focus report. Taking us today